After a horrendous 2017 E3 showing, Bethesda's come back this year, and they've, to a degree, somewhat redeemed themselves with some very shocking announcements, but, let's dial it back, let's go straight from the beginning, start off, because it did not start off that well. They started off with Rage 2, and before they even showed a single second of the game, they felt the need to have Andrew WK perform the entire game's theme song for like 5 fucking minutes straight. And the best part was when they kept panning the camera to the crowd, and you could see the look on their faces like they didn't sign up for this and they just wanted it to stop. I wanted it to stop too. It was a complete waste of everyone's time, and considering what came after, it really wasn't worth sitting through. They showed extensive gameplay footage of Rage 2, and I have to say it wasn't very flattering. I have a lesser opinion of this game now than I did beforehand. The little snippets of gameplay that they had in the teaser and announcement trailers made the game look better than this full deep dive did. And that's the problem with this game. Rage 2, a sequel that no one asked for, the original game has a horrible reputation, it's not good. And they showed the shooting, that's pretty much all they showed. They showed some driving briefly, but it was mostly shooting and abilities and stuff like that. It looks solid, it's by no means bad looking like the actual core gameplay. It's running on id Tech 6, I think, so, it's gonna be solid. You've got id Software, they just came off of Doom, they're gonna have decent shooting, if not great shooting, in their games. The real problem with Rage 2, the question that needed to be answered and that was not answered, is what do you do in this game? What's the format of it? We know it's not a straightforward linear progression game. We know that since Avalanche is working on it, it's going to be an open world structure, but how is it structured? Is it like an Ubisoft game where you have a map with a bunch of stupid objectives on it and it's a waste of time? Or is it just a single player game that happens to be in an open world and you just go around doing missions and stuff like that? I have no idea because the press conference didn't clear that up for me. Then they had the nerve to show off a collector's edition of the game inside of the gameplay trailer, which is just comical because no one's even been given a reason to buy the base game, let alone a collector's edition. No one's out there as a die-hard Rage fan. I'm sure there's 2 or 5 people out there that just love Rage, but the vast majority of us aren't even convinced that we want to play this one. So that being said, I'm still going to pick up the game. I'm definitely going to play it just because it's running on id Tech and id Software is involved with this, and I liked the shooting in Doom so much that I'm willing to give this one a try, but I'm not expecting it to be great or even good necessarily. It might just end up being a bland game where you do bland things and it happens to have decent shooting mechanics. Then they talked about stuff like their stupid Elder Scrolls card game. I don't think anyone plays that. I've never met anyone that plays that. I don't know anyone who knows anyone that plays that. Then they had some ESO stuff, apparently 11 million players, not concurrently, but lifetime players, which is still, that's a lot. It's a lot of players, so it's doing pretty well. But then, my first prediction came true. They have a sequel to Doom that rebooted in 2016, and it's called Doom Eternal. No gameplay, no release date. It does say, I'm looking at it on YouTube right now, it says that they're going to reveal the gameplay live August 10th at QuakeCon, so that's not too long away. Still, I have no idea why the fuck you would wait until then when you have a huge captive audience at this E3 press conference, and then you're just going to disappoint them by making them wait longer. Whatever, I don't know. But I am excited for this game. I loved the 2016 reboot. It almost got Game of the Year from me. I gave it second place, I think. It's a great game, and I'm sure the sequel will continue that. Next was another prediction, or I guess expectation, and that was the Prey DLC, but they also have a free update that's adding like a new game plus and stuff like that. It looks like it's a combat-based DLC, which is not a good idea because Prey's gunplay, the actual combat in it, was like the weakest part of the game by far, I thought, so I don't think that's going to turn out too well. Then there's also some kind of multiplayer mode. I don't know how that's going to work in a game like Prey. It's probably not going to work well. Next up was the announcement of a new Wolfenstein game. It's called Wolfenstein Young Blood. Because of the name, I'm assuming it's going to be like the Old Blood was to the original Wolfenstein, where you've got like a story-based expansion pack that's separate from the base game. So it'll probably be like a $30 game, $40 game, but it's not full length. I think it'll be really fun to see what their definition of a shorter game is, a shorter story is, because Wolfenstein 2 itself was hilariously short. It was comical. It's like 6 hours long, 7 hours long. So this shit, you're going to be paying $40 for like 3 hours of content or something. It's going to be funny. Then Todd Howard came on stage, and as much as we like to give him a hard time, he was a pretty good sport this time around. He had some Skyrim jokes to make about it being on every platform. They had a little short video to play, and it was pushing it at points, but generally it was pretty funny. But Todd's main objective this time was to talk about Fallout 76, and although there was a lot of actual gameplay shown, I feel like I haven't seen much of the game, and I think that's because there's not much to the game. The game is entirely online, but he says it's not going to be like a big MMO, it's just going to have a dozen or so people online at the same time. And some people in the crowd, they seem to be relieved by that, but I don't think that's a good thing considering what this game appears to be. They didn't advertise or show off any story content or questing like traditional Fallout games, so I assume that this game just has no story at all. So your core interaction with the game here is going to be with other players online, and when that's the only thing you do, that's the bulk of what you do, and it's that low of a player count, it's going to feel very empty. And as a consequence of that, your main gameplay is just going to be combat, and while the combat was the strongest part of Fallout 4, I don't know if it's necessarily strong enough to prop up an entire game experience. Then Todd announced a beta and made some jokes about how their games have bugs, but that's a serious concern here. The creation engine barely runs offline. I didn't even know it was possible for this thing to run with people connecting to it on servers. I mean, that's batshit crazy to me. I don't, how does that compute? So am I gonna play this game? Of course I'm gonna play it. It's Bethesda, it's Fallout, I just have to satisfy that curiosity. I can't sit there on the sidelines and not play it. Am I excited for it? No, not at all. I think it has potential to be a disaster, actually. But as a business strategy going forward, it does make sense. You've got a game like this, you'll support it as a platform, and it'll keep Fallout fans satiated for the foreseeable future until Fallout 5 comes around. Then he announces Elder Scrolls Blades. It's like a mobile game on your cell phone, but it'll also be on PC and consoles and stuff like that. Looks totally miserable, and I was about to be really upset because it seemed like the conference was going to end. But then no, he's got one more thing, and it's of course Starfield. Finally, it's actually real. Starfield happening. All they did was show a logo, which the logo looks great. They had some music in the background. I assume that's the theme or the soundtrack of the game. It didn't provide any details. I would have liked more of a teaser trailer, something like Cyberpunk 2077 did, just show what the game looks like a little bit, but no, it's just a panoramic shot of space. I guess this is going to be a 2019 game, probably fall 2019. The one thing he did confirm was that it's single player, so all those rumors about it being like Destiny, where it's an online thing, there's going to be tournaments and stuff like that, doesn't seem like that's the case. And I thought, okay, well now you're done. No, he's not done. They actually announced Elder Scrolls 6. So that really threw me off. I was not expecting that at all. I thought that's a long ways off, and it probably still is. It might be a PlayStation 5 game. But they at least announced it. And I see why they probably felt the need to do this, because Bethesda has a habit of not announcing stuff until it's going to come out in the next year. But they're seriously breaking that tradition here. They don't even have release windows for these games. But I know why they did that. They had the exact same line of logic that I did. If you announce this online-only Fallout game, people that love Bethesda for the single-player games, they're going to get really, really upset. So it's kind of a form of damage control. I don't think they had to go as far as to announce Elder Scrolls 6, that may be a little much, but it probably satisfies a lot of people that are just dying to see the next entry in the series. So that's everything, but if we take out those announcements of games that are coming in the distant future, this conference kind of becomes a little more weak. Rage 2 is not looking that amazing, it's looking okay. Fallout 76, in my honest opinion, is looking bad. We did get a Doom 2 announcement, but there's no gameplay, and then it's just a bunch of little stuff like Prey DLC and Wolfenstein expansion. But Starfield, that's just like a blowout announcement for me. I can't wait for that game. Even though I know nothing about it, the leaks sound amazing. But do let me know what you thought of the conference down below, if these announcements are too far off to get excited about, or if they made the conference for you. Tomorrow is the big one, Sony, so until then, thanks for watching.